working. Okay, so today I'm going to take you right through the process of achieving in time series. And today we're all actually going to achieve in time series. You should be aware of how now to open up Insight. For me, it's a bit different. I have it on my D drive. Alright, D drive. It's called Insight. Yours is under Start Mathematics. Okay, wait for it to load. Should get a page that comes up like this. Remember, run Insight. Okay, so once Insight's open, remember it's input data. Go and find, and today I want everyone to work on arrivals. So under data, under time series, arrivals, or visitors, same thing. I'm not concerned if you want to look at it. No, I am actually. It needs to be monthly or quarterly. It won't work annually because then we can't talk about seasonal effects. So choose monthly or quarterly, open that up. Reminder, go from here to advanced, click time series. When we get to here, I'm going to deal with Australia. I want you to choose one of the other three. And just out of interest, if you want to look at all three at once, if you hold down Shift and highlight all three, that bottom button there that says Compare Series shows you what all three graphs look like in an instant. And you can choose. You're going to choose one of those. For Mirror and Excellence, you need to choose two, but for today, we're just choosing one. Okay, so for my example, I'm going to look at the arrivals into Australia. In your achieved example, you're going to look at either of those three examples. So highlight Australia and show me the time series of arrivals to Australia. If you click on your Start menu, you'll see the snipping tool. Click at that. See how the screen is actually greyed out? That's because it's already highlighted that I want to do a snip. So basically you're going to click and hold down that graph. Now depending on whether you're working on a Word document or a Google Doc, if it was a Word document, drop it into a Word document. If it's a Google Doc, we're going to drop it onto the Google Doc. So Control V. Okay. I'm just going to go straight through and grab all the graphs that I need to achieve. Okay, so why isn't that coming up? Here we go. So far I've got the time series plot. I'll also need either the decompose graph or the recompose graph. I prefer the recompose graph, but to be honest it makes no difference. And again, snippet, click the snippings tool, click new, click cancel, minimize that, click new, grab the entire graph. Okay, go to your Google Doc, Control V. Okay, and that's dropped there. In between here, I want the seasonal effect graph. So go and open up that graph. Okay, snip that one, new, snip both of them, and stick that on your Google Doc. And lastly, I need my predictions one. Time series forecast. Now, the program I downloaded is a little bit out of date, and when you push predictions, it'll come up with a graph, but also come up with a table of all the values. Okay, so whilst I'm only going to put the graph in, I want you to put the table as well. So snipping tool, new, and drop that into Google Drive. So bar the table of predictions, this is all the graphs you need to achieve. Okay. From this point, we want to write a report on this set of data. There are half a dozen report structures that you can find online, and I've saved 2 of them to my Weebly. Where have I got them? Here's one of them, which some of you were looking at yesterday. That's a legitimate structure for writing up the report. And the other one, see if I've got it open here. Here it is. I've also saved this one. And this is actually the one that I've used, so it's probably going to be the one that you'll use as well. And I've kind of unpacked it a little bit more than what's on here. Also in this booklet, there's a copy of this, the one that I'm showing you now, and there's another exemplar of how to achieve in this booklet for sea ice. Okay, so I'm doing one exemplar, there's another one in here, and then you're going to do one, well, I hope today, but looks like it might be tomorrow. So report structure, and this is something I made earlier, and I've saved. These are the same graphs that I've just printed. I just copied across, and I just added some words, and I just did this the period before, and I've saved this exemplar to Weebly so you can have a look at it. You can all have a read of it. Now, what you'll notice about my report writing is you won't see the words I or my or any personification. Okay, you'll always see this report or this time series graph, not my time series graph or I think. This is a formal report, and if you have any personifications like I or my or I think, you don't want that in your report. This is formal report writing. So you'll know if you're on the right track, or I'll go through and I'll highlight I's and my's and I thinks, and I'll just say don't write this in your report. Okay? It just makes the whole report sound formal if you write this report. Okay, so here's just an example of an introduction, and you can see that I've sort of made it up where I didn't necessarily know about the data. So really quickly, this report looks at the arrivals to Australia between this year, or 1999, and 2012. The arrivals include people who arrive by plane, boat, who pass through customs. The small percentage of people who arrive and avoid customs have not been considered. Notice also I never write haven't or isn't, or any other apostrophe. You won't see any if you read a formal report, you don't see apostrophes. It's always have not or is not. Okay, so get rid of apostrophes out of all your reports. The predictions for arrivals in 2014 and beyond look to be growing. So in the introduction, you kind of give a summary of what the whole report's about. So I've described where the data came from, and I'm saying what the predictions actually look like are going to happen. The predictions for arrivals in 2014 and beyond look to be growing from previous years, but perhaps the growth per year is slowing down. It's a summary of what the whole report's about. This report discusses the long-term trend, the seasonality, and irregular components of time series. So very general introduction to what the whole report's about. And you have to do this to achieve, right? This is the skeleton of an achieved internal. You'll then drop that time series graph in, which is just the raw data with the CMM or the centered moving mean plotted. And then I've discussed in words the long-term trend. You've got to do this as well. Just see if I can. Where are we? Long-term trend. The visitor arrivals to New Zealand from Australia gradually increase. The rate, now this, you have to put this in numbers to achieve. The rate at which this increase occurs is slightly less than 1,000 visitors per annum. And let me just show you how I work that out. I know that this data is over 13 years. Okay, this is important. Therefore, I need to find the overall increase. So in other words, this value here, from the bottom of the CMM line to the top of the CMM line, which is 35,000. So it goes from approximately 15,000 to 30,000. Now you'll get this a little bit more accurate because you'll have a print-off version of this and you'll be able to draw lines on it with a ruler and pencil and look at the increase and divide it by how many years the time series goes for, and then you'll be able to give a rate per year, and you have to give that rate to achieve. And notice that I didn't say 1,122 visitors per year. I said approximately 1,000, and I definitely didn't give any decimal points because you can't have half a person arrive, right? So an approximation ends in a zero. Since 2010, this overall trend has leveled off, and there hasn't been. Oh, that's bad. There has not been an overall increase in visitors in the past 2 years. So long-term trend, I should be able to hold your graph up, and about from 2 meters away, you should be able to tell me the long-term trend. So you're not looking at the peaks and the valleys and things. The long-term trend is what's happening in a space of 10 years plus. Okay, and then what we call a quantitative description. In other words, you have to have a number in there. Has to be in there for achieved. Okay, I'm almost done and you can have a go. You also have to discuss the seasonal effect. Okay, so under this graph, which is the seasonality, this is what I've said. The peaks and troughs line up reasonably well with the periods between 1999 and 2012, and I'm talking about the graph on the left. Okay, they roughly map each other. The main variation is the increasing long-term trend. Now, notice the dates over there. See how they start at 99 at the bottom and then they go up? So the reason they aren't exactly on top of each other is because the long-term trend's increasing. If it were increasing and decreasing, obviously the dates wouldn't sort of be at the bottom moving to the top. They would sort of jump around a little bit. But the main variation is actually because of the long-term trend, not because of the seasonality. So I've just made a note of that.